Okay, well, now I have started the recording with your consent. So there are two things in this discussion, or you can say this interview. That first thing is that the purpose of this discussion, and the second thing is that how I am going to conduct this discussion, or you can say what will be the structure of this interview. So that's first of all, the purpose is that wherein that you have submitted all the evidences, your workplace, everything is with me. But it is the requirement of EQA that we should provide some more evidences, like in the form of observation, in the form of interview, and some more evidences with respect to this course assessment criteria. And the purpose is that I have to make sure, I have to confirm the awarding body that you are the person who has completed this course. And it is, you can say, almost the last stage for the qualification. And second thing is that the structure will be like that. In first stage, I will ask for your introduction. In that case, you have to give me your name, your organization name, your designation, and your immediate boss, and some of your responsibilities, what you are doing there. Okay. After that,
Perfect.
I will ask some questions, but these questions are not new for you, because these questions are taken from the assessment criteria, and these are with respect to your workplace. So what you have to do, you have to answer these questions with respect to your workplace. Okay, that what is happening in your workplace with respect to this. So after this meeting, we also have many evidences, but you have to provide just specific these evidences again. Okay, it's fine for you?
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, may I start?
I just actually just to refresh myself, but I can remember most of it, so it shouldn't be a
Yeah,
problem.
yeah, okay. Okay, first of all, one, just introduce yourself, please.
Okay, my name is Warren van Breda,
Mhm.
South African.
Okay,
Um, yeah, well, I'm having this interview with you today. My current workplace is working for Sasol
okay,
in Mozambique. Okay, I'm busy on a well delivery project.
okay,
Um, Basically, my designation here is HSC supervisor. Now I'm supervising the operations.
okay,
We've got about 7 service providers. There's people like Schlumberger, Baker Hughes, which all their safety managers reports to me on a
mm,
daily basis, and obviously in the monthly morning meetings, obviously follow-up actions. Um, the implementation of the safety systems basically is what I'm monitoring and governing basically by
mm,
assurances and that type of thing. So regular meetings and on a day-to-day basis, we interact in the field. Where I'll obviously be going around to different various areas. Um, on the admin side, basically, the strategic approach to it is by assurances, what do you call it, KPIs, and those type of things that I monitor on a continuous basis, basically, and provide feedback to them continuous, especially with imminent problems on the project, or I can see something that might be leading to something not good or an incident. Um, yeah, I've been here on well delivery now for the last my 3.5 year now. So
okay,
yeah, it's actually going very well. Our safety performance here is excellent at the moment. We didn't have any serious injuries since I started. We're a very proactive team rather than reactive. So
uh,
yeah, this is all benefit. We're actually a very, very proactive team here, and I must say I'm fortunate in this way. Um, the safety culture here is very positive, and that's right from all these service providers, management right through. As you're well aware, if you've seen my evidence, there's the BBS systems we run here
yeah,
is also a very, very proactive and positive approach in preventing incidents and accidents and changing people's attitudes, obviously, towards the safety on the current project we work on. So that's one
okay,
thing we really managed very well. And I must
okay,
say, from the top service providers to even to the lowest ones, where we had to give a little bit of guidance to get them up to speed and on what exactly now we're going to do things. It went very well till this far. We have a lot of nationals that we called skills transfer as part of my work, which where we have to take them as greenhorns, we call it here, and basically start educating them and show them proper safety systems now to run it and to achieve the milestone we've achieved so far. So that's a bit of a challenging sometimes, but over this last year, I see the tremendous growth in all of them and the approach we had, and actually taking them to field, giving hands-on experience and guidance, and including them in meetings. So I will help. We have our service provider meetings on. We actually just finished one. This is where we'll drop statistics like the KPIs we've been monitoring, stop card analysis, trend analysis. That's we. Is there something specific you want to?
No, I will ask some question. No, it's fine for me. And it shows that you have a good health and safety culture in the organizations, and monitoring and everything is in a proactive approach instead of reactive. Okay, well, thanks for your time. And now moving forward, as you know, there are 11 units in this qualification, 10 units for level 5 and 1 unit is for level 6 for achieving grad IOSH. So I am going to ask some questions from all these units just to make sure that you have awareness of all the things and you are eligible for this qualification. So starting from the unit 1, there is a learning outcome and there is assessment criteria regarding the appropriate links between group and people with respect to health and safety. I just want to know that how you are developing the links between other people with respect to health and safety.
Okay, my personal view on this is the communication part is probably the most important part, and that's not only for instance, I mentioned earlier the communication with towards service providers and meetings, obviously safety bulletins, memorandums, but it's a very, very vital important that management is also included that, because obviously if you don't have a peer-driven safety system coming from top management, your safety system is going to fail, and I think we all know that in today's life. So links what we'll do is we have feedback surveys. As we're going digital, most of our systems is digital and online on a system called SharePoint. I don't know if you're familiar with that. So basically every system, for instance, if I refer to stop cards, obviously stop cards are a very, very powerful tool. And it's a very tool that can be used by anybody, from the general worker on site, right through to many top management and communicating back to SASL, the client, basically, on issues that might arise from the site. So that's one example of a tool we use here. Other tools is regular weekly safety topics we'll decide. We'll look at our trend analysis and say, okay, guys, we see we've got a problem here in road transportation, which is a big hazard here, so by the way. And normally it comes out and we need to start implementing things to prevent this in changing into serious incidents. So that's two ways, I think, by email. Obviously, when we have our service provider meetings, the one thing else is I'll always include the management, their management. We have a representative here from the safety side and from the management point of view. There's two ways of doing it. With the guys on site here, joined by a boardroom meeting we normally held. The guys from the top management will join us in Teams meeting. So we are Teams, not Zoom. That's basically the same thing.
Yeah, okay.
And obviously, yeah, and tracking things. We have an action tracker system, for instance. That's a good communication tool as well, because that's where we track. You get some issues that can't be sorted out now, but obviously we can't forget about them. So we use our action tracker as a communication on a weekly basis, which gets communicated to everybody and show what is the open action items.
Okay.
We have news flashes. There's a couple of issues we're already implementing here.
Okay, thank you. Okay. As you know, the health and safety policy is an integral part of health and safety management system, and it is known as the foundation of management system. So just implementing health and safety policy is not enough. So with respect to your organization, the documentation in your management system, what is the quality of that documentation?
You mean the quality of recording and obviously working through a document control. So I remember I've done it, but I can't do it. Yeah. Okay, so basically what we've done is here. First of all, I'm sure you're well aware how we develop a safety quality policy. So just a quick brief how we've done it. Obviously, you look at your type of operation and type of risk that's for your employees on site, external parties, and obviously the environment, which is important. So before you start any policy, there's a group of people that needs to be involved in this. You need to be familiar with your processes and what type of for instance, chemicals and things you use. Just as an example, before you can develop any policy. Otherwise, you're going to be driving in the wrong direction with your policy. As soon as you've got the overall information and documentation by, like for instance, I'm referring to chemicals now, MSDSs. If it's supplied by the supplier, if you have a certain process in your thing that might be damaging to the environment and you have to do additional things to prevent this from happening. If you don't have inequality in that, obviously you're going to lose your whole safety system, which is important. This obviously needs to be driven by your top management as well, giving a strong message to the rest of his project and say, listen, guys, this is our policy, this is what we stand for, and this is how we're going to protect each of you, the environment and the external parties, if it's applicable.
Okay, as per your discussion, Warren, and as per your evidences, I can see that you have a good communication system in your organization. I typically need that, you can say specifically, I am interested to know that what is the communication system do you have in your organization when it comes to contractor management?
Well, contractor management is actually very interesting. As I just finished, for instance, now we start off. I actually did one yesterday. We've got service providers, contractors coming to an end. They're handling all our waste disposal, for instance. Okay, so when a tender fee, we get included in that. Well, I got included into this one because my immediate boss is not available at the moment. So where we do a capable assessment on them. Now this consists of few different areas, basically from right through from supply chain, operations. But if you look at this, the safety system itself, obviously we look at the history and what type of safety system they have available. This company, unfortunately, wasn't ISO accredited, the first one I've done, but working towards it. Okay, so we on our system, obviously, we try not to demoralize people, and we want to give them a fair evaluation. If people has this ISO system, it's already going to be a standard, and we're going to be sure that things, if they have a valid certificate, it will already be in a standard where you don't have to look into much to. They can just submit it, and we start reviewing the documents and see now if they're complying with our standards and in line with what the project expects of them. Obviously, we'll look at past track records, incidents, safe man hours without working, lost time injuries, if there was, what type of it, what caused it, and what was actions taken in that. So this is the type of things I'll be looking into, is the quality of the management system, and if it will work for Sasol based on our standards set out on the project.
Okay. Next question is regarding the health and safety training. You know that health and safety training is also important part of management system you want to even for the competence of workers. In your organization, how you are ensuring this, that the training you are providing to your worker is appropriate?
Okay, first of all, I think this starts right from the interview phase. I mean, if you have a certain designation open, you need to know what is required and what safety training is required for the specific person. I mean, for instance, just taking a guy working with a torque machine, for instance, what we have here. You're not going to take somebody that has worked in a different machine and think he's going to be compatible. Obviously, you're going to look into his qualification, do a gap analysis. If you find a guy suitable but needs further training, that should be part of your gap analysis. Say where's his shortcoming. Once you've identified that, obviously you must make the training available to him too. Obviously, that's part of your leadership and your company. The systems we use, for instance, training matrices by risk exposure, specifically for the risk part of it, and the safety training required. So this is not qualifications of things now. If you pass that step now, obviously we go to his area. We'll see, okay, this guy is going to perform this certain task. This is the risk exposure he's exposed to. What do we need to provide? What tools and training do we need to provide him to make it safe? And that's how we will classify it and identify these safety trainings.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Okay, when it comes to controlling the risk, you have control measures in the workplace you have implemented there, and also with respect to control measure, you also have control measures like safe system of works there. So for implementing such controls, What are the requirements do you think do you have from statutory law or the requirements from the organization with respect to implementation of safe system of work and implementation of control measures?
Okay, first of all, it's the employer's responsibility to provide you a safe working environment, which is very, very vital. Unfortunately, just to give you an example, we get the smaller companies and the local companies. If you go inspect their facility, it's evident it's not being provided. And obviously, as part of a client's duty of care, we go guide them in the right direction and say, guys, listen, we need to move to this way. Some of the systems you talk about, safe work of systems. So how do you develop that? That's where your policy plays a very vital part once again, because that's your foundation, like you said. You start with a foundation to know exactly who's at risk and what is at risk and what can cause additional risk. If you the three what's basically, which I normally work on. So once you've gathered that information, you can go to the rest. You start with a baseline risk assessment, I call it. So your baseline risk assessment is where you start, and you can't do it by yourself. You obviously, let's say you have 4 different processes. You'll call the process head of each of those departments and yourself sitting down. So guys, now we need to develop a safe system of work by starting with your baseline. As soon as you start with your baseline, you identify obviously all your hazards, risks involved in those hazards, put your control measures in place. And obviously, as far as reasonable possible, as we mentioned in the safety system, as I think you're familiar with the term alarm.
Okay, that's great.
So once you got to your alarm, sorry?
Oh, okay, that's great for me. Okay, just let me know that with respect to performance monitoring, what do you think are the requirements of a regulatory body?
Well, obviously, if you issue accreditation audits, it's a very, very vital, important part of it. It goes for internal audits and external audits. Internal audits is good, but you know, it might be sometimes biased. Obviously, you know, especially when you get people, it's a bit difficult sometimes to really come down and people say, listen, we need to look at this. So that's where your statutory audits comes in from external and third parties, just to make sure we're up to standard and we're conforming by law exactly what we need to do.
What is the schedule or program for auditing in your organization?
For us, it's every 3 months internally. So we actually just finished 1 month and a half ago with all 7 service providers, quite in detail because we have so many service providers. But unfortunately, it's necessary. So it's a long 2 weeks, but we managed it well, to be honest. And obviously, our accreditation, the cert is valid for 5 years, but we're trying to get an external body here maybe once a year, just to make sure and do a follow-up.
Just like surveillance audit 1, surveillance audit 2, like that. Okay, that's great. That's great. Okay, with respect to your workplace specifically, what foreseeable emergencies do you have, and how you respond them? Or like, what is the emergency response plan do you have?
Well, actually, in Mozambique, we deal with a lot of cyclones that passes here every now and then, which did a lot of damage up in the north already. There was one that hit here. The damage wasn't so bad, but for the last 2 years, we've been very fortunate. They were on their way here, and they just missed us. So obviously, once again, you start to see, okay, who's at home, where are we, and what is the worst case scenario, basically, what can happen. Obviously, we only in Mozambique started also with terrorist attacks, which is a big problem at the moment. It looks like it's starting to come down south. So this is the type of things you have to identify. We also started the same process with that's normally included in our baseline, allowing for baselines. Then we get in ahead, and if we don't have the expertise, like for myself, I haven't never worked in a cyclone area. So we got a third party in of guys that specializes in this to come assist us in looking what is our precautions. Give you one example, our containers is all bolted to the ground with 6-meter foundations. So they can't blow away because we're staying containers in the camp. Obviously, in past incidences, some of these containers flew through the air with the high winds. So obviously, we identified, listen, we need an emergency evacuation plan in place for this project. And what type of emergencies that we have. So we need to make sure there's proper controls in place for all of them.
Okay. I hope you have a good reporting system in your organization. So what is actually your ongoing report system for behavioral safety?
Okay, well, we have a live database which we have an admin lady always controlling for us. So we started nice. We got away from paperwork as well as we're going green. So we got a nice online system now also through SharePoint. So every service provider has been allocated with his own service provider basically code, where you can go and fill in your stock card for the day. It automatically forms into Sasol link where I go and I monitor it for a day, for instance. So, sorry, you were talking about behavioral-based safety.
Yeah.
Or stop. Sorry, I got off the point here. Sorry, but it's the same type of system. So
Yeah.
what we have is we've got little behavioral-based information sheets. Now, there's two parts to our system. We've got a thing called VFL, which is Visible Field Leadership. And then we've got the normal supervisory level where they will go and conduct BBSs on the field. Our system, obviously, when you come back with your feedback, we have a feedback session every Saturday morning where we'll come and we'll review the week's actions that's outstanding. And obviously, if there's any barriers that have been identified, where can we as management assist the workers and work with their service provider companies to work in and obviously come into a nice, feasible system that's workable. Obviously, you want to change the people's hearts and minds. So if someone is uncomfortable with something and is not provided with the right things, for instance, it's a barrier. But a barrier is not his fault. So that's why we step in as a client and start.
Okay, fine. Just let me know that which department you can say or which group of people is working on the research of health and safety. Like they are doing some research to improve the things, or just going like that.
We have got an assurance department, they call it. It's part of our extra we report to. His name is Andre Akker. Basically, they keep us up to date with the latest, obviously, updates in regulations. For instance, we still work on the South African year from Mozambique because we looked at the law here towards safety, health and safety. And it was not really what Sasol was after. Obviously, there's many gaps in the system. So we fall back on the South African law where Sasol is that. And the guy monitoring it is Andre Akker. He attends South African body meetings regularly to research on things, safer workers, systems of work. And obviously, in Sasol, we don't believe just going by the book. If there's something that can exceed the mark, we go for that, which is nice, actually. And we get a lot of support from management towards that.
Yeah, okay, that's
the
fine.
budget is also available for that. So that's nice.
Okay, well, that's nice. And thanks for your time. So I just need that on these topics, I need some 10 to 11, 12 evidences from you that you have told me that you have different documentation, like where you don't have issue of any confidentiality or privacy of organization. You can produce 10 to 12 evidences with relevant to these. Already you have provided me a lot of evidences, but typically or specifically with relevant to that, kindly just share me after this discussion, and as soon as possible you will send me, then I am able to just share with the EQA, so things will be done in time. Thanks for your time, and I really thankful for your time because it is your job time there. So have a good day. Goodbye, dear.
Okay. Thank you. Have a good day.
Bye.